Hey guys, Drifter here. Today's video is about why I don't drink. And when I mean don't drink, I'm not talking about water. I mean I don't drink alcohol or alcoholic beverages of any kind. I'm also going to talk about why I think it's perfectly okay to drink. If you drink, I'm not judging you, that's fine. But this is just about why I don't. And I'll be telling some stories about my childhood that's going to help this make more sense. The gameplay that you're watching right now is defense on Cian Crossing. This was a very, very fun defense. We're going to end up stopping him right here in this first round. I'm playing with Captain Obvious, who is my Project PTFO partner. You can check out his channel in the description. He mostly does gun reviews, strategies, tactics on Battlefield 3. Think of it as kind of the Battlefield 3 in-depth that I never got around to making. After this, the games are going to be much, much closer, much more competitive, and smaller 4v4 squad rush, a lot of teamwork. I'm going to be swapping back and forth in those between doing really awful and really great. But that's all about the gameplay. Let's move over to why I don't drink. The first thing I gotta tell you guys is that I'm not a moral Nazi. I know most of you drink just looking at the age distribution, and I know that drinking ages worldwide are different than they are in the United States, and even in the United States, most people start drinking somewhere around 15, 16, 17, something like that. If you drink, that is perfectly okay with me. I don't think it's immoral to drink, or by any, well, at least by Christian standards, I don't find it immoral. I believe that the line in the Bible was about abusing alcohol or abusing strong drink, not enjoying it. Jesus himself was a drinker. When the party got a little boring, who turned water into wine? That was Jesus himself. Not a big deal. Before I move into the part where I tell you the main reasons that I don't drink, I think it would be helpful for me to tell you some of the reasons that I don't have for not drinking, or some of the common reasons that people have for not drinking. Number one, it's not about morality. I'm not afraid of alcohol. I don't think it's immoral or wrong. I've already touched on that, so that's not such a big deal. It's also not for a lack of want. I'm not the kind of guy that sits here and doesn't want to drink. I watch other people drink, and it looks like fun. I mean, it looks like they genuinely have a good time when they get drunk. They become more personable. It's easier to talk to girls that way. I don't have that problem because I'm married. It's easier to make friends, easier to socialize, and it looks really fun. It also looks really fun to be completely wasted and doing stupid things. I think it might be interesting to black out and wake up somewhere. I had a friend one time that blacked out and woke up on the other side of town with no shoes, passed out by an ATM. He might not have found that quite as funny as I did, but I think it'd be interesting. Or you see movies like, was it Beer Fest? Or there was some movie where every time some guy drank, he would wake up in a different country, and one time he drank, he just like woke up in Thailand for no reason whatsoever. Started out in New York, woke up in Thailand. That'd be kind of interesting. I'm also a little bit of an Epicurean, especially when it comes to things that are sweet. I love sweets. That would be my main addiction since I don't drink, as I eat a lot of sweets, a lot of chocolates, a lot of thick caramels, berries, a lot of things that have been cooked in alcohol that have a very rum taste to it, or a scotch taste to it, that aren't alcoholic, that have had the alcohol cooked out of them. And every time I go to a restaurant and sit down, I always drink water just for health reasons. I don't drink a lot of sodas or energy drinks too much. A little bit of that now that I'm sponsored by Gamma Labs and they're all free and whatnot. But I obviously don't drink alcohol, but the biggest section of the menu is alcoholic drinks, and when I look at them, most of them look like they taste very, very good. I mean, all sorts of crazy different mixes, and I know what the alcohol flavors taste like because I've had them at other desserts before, and they look really great. And because I do have such a sweet tooth and I like eating new and interesting things, there's a great temptation there to get those drinks and try them. Like, yeah, maybe I'll just get one and swish it around in my mouth a little bit. Probably not the best of ideas. And it's also, some days are really, really stressful. I'm in graduate school. Previously, my wife was working really, really hard, and she would get sad sometimes. So it's sometimes difficult to deal with that. Sometimes school really blew. Sometimes work really blew. Sometimes machinima, this commentary thing, can get really, really stressful when they start demanding things of you, or changing the programs, or you get screwed out of money, or you're working on some big project with another commentator, and then all of a sudden you've been cheated out of a deal and they've decided to go with somebody else. Very, very stressful, very irritating. There was a time almost exactly a year ago that I was completely broke and destitute, and both of my computers died on the same day. Thankfully, you guys, the subscribers, donated enough money to get the rig that I'm using right now to do this gameplay commentary, but that was an extremely, extremely stressful time to me, and that was a time that I really, really wanted to drink, that I just wanted to bury my sorrows in booze. It seemed like a good idea. I can completely understand why people do that, and that's something that I would like to do some days, but I always pass on. One of the reasons that I don't drink, now we're moving into that section, probably the main reason that I don't drink is because my mom is an alcoholic. And when I say she's an alcoholic among alcoholics. Her father put whiskey in her baby bottle, so she's been drinking since as long as I even know. When she was a teenager, she used to drink a gallon of whiskey a day. Like, she'd get a milk gallon and fill it up full of whiskey and drink it every single day. This is one of those closer games I was talking about. I'm doing really awesome in the beginning, fed her off toward Dumpy at the in the middle, and pick it up a little bit at the end. And even when my mom no longer drank whiskey, she would drink vodka in similar portions. And when she moved away from vodka to beer to be a little bit less extreme or seem more sociable, it was like 40 cans of beer a day. And I mean 40 big cans of beer, not the little sad cans, the tall cans of beer. Coors Light, for the most part, was her brand of choice. And it was extreme. And it was very difficult growing up around that. When I was a little kid, it didn't really sink in too much that mom was always drunk. But as I got older, the problems got worse and worse. And as her mental and physical health deteriorated because of the drinking, they got worse and worse and worse. Mom couldn't drive. Mom needed me to drive. When I was a little bit too young, we would make runs to the beer store, and I'd show my mom how strong I was carrying all of her beer for the day. And as I got older, I realized how more and more wrong that was, and why other parents didn't want their kids to come to my house, and how they looked at my mom funny when we went out, like getting smashed in Discovery Zone, or going into restaurants, getting drunk, getting into a fight with your husband, and asking the bartender to take you home, things like that. Moreover, toward my later teenage years, or actually it was very early teenage years, about 12, 13-ish, I don't think I was quite 14 yet, the alcoholism became so extreme. She didn't do anything but drink, and she had a garden, so she would drink and garden and get the stuff from the garden and make pickled peppers. No, she would just make regular peppers, hot sauce, but like some weird peppery plums, shit that just tastes awful. I still can't eat plums because I had to eat so much of that crap. And that was all it was just drinking, and left me to take care of my brother and myself. So here I am at 13 years old out in the country. I had to drive us to the bus stop, take care of him, make sure he had food, make sure that he didn't screw something up. And it was really difficult trying to be a parent when your brother's a shithead and he's like 8 years old and you're not mom and you can't tell him what to do. And that sort of thing. So that really burned me right there, my mom. And even as I got into my teenage years where drinking was more common and my friends were starting to drink, my mom's condition continually got worse and worse and worse, and I only had to look at her to realize what was going on. I realized what was going on here when that guy with the M320 behind the rock was blowing up my cover that I was using to dump on people. Got him, though. No more M320 for you. M230. I don't know, the stupid noob tube. It's a noob tube. We're not going to worry about that. We're talking about alcohol right there. So I was already put off by that, and it worried me because she was clearly an alcoholic, and I learned that there's a genetic component to alcoholism and that it tends to run in families. Not only was my mother an alcoholic, but her extended family had alcohol and addiction problems. I'm not going to be naming names here, but it was very common in her family. So it made me sit there and think, you know, maybe if they have all these problems, then I could have got those genes, and it could really only take one drink, just one little drink, and I could be done for, I could be addicted to something. And I sit here and think, man, I have enough addiction problems eating sweets and chocolates and cheesecake. I couldn't imagine what would happen when I step up to alcohol. Picked up this shotgun class, and I think I'm not going to kill anybody with it, but I pick up a sniper rifle class, which was kind of dumb because I'm really bad with snipers and good with shotguns. I just didn't ever think I'd get close to somebody on this map, and then lo and behold, end up getting close to everybody. My dad drank a good bit, however, he was not an alcoholic. I'd say my dad kind of biased me against alcohol because he drinks irresponsibly. He doesn't normally get drunk, but he gets drunk to the point where he probably shouldn't be driving and drives anyway. Not to say that my dad gets smashed and cruises around the freeway. He lives in a very small town. He's lived there for so many years, and all he does is take these little backwards ass residential roads home because he knows he's not supposed to drink and drive on the highway, and he just like putts around at 15 miles an hour. It's still wrong. I still think it's extremely irresponsible to drink and drive, and he does it. It drives me fucking bonkers. It makes me so mad. And even when I was a kid, I tried to tell him you can't do that, and he'd get really angry at me like he was going to hit me or something. And I knew that he would. We're getting to that story in a little bit, so I never ask any more questions. I just always have to ride. Or if he got really drunk, I'd have to come pick him up, which sometimes was amusing. It'd be kind of cute to go pick your dad up when he was drunk and you weren't doing anything. And then there would be other days where I had something going on, some other place that I would really rather be at, but he was drunk and he needed me to pick him up, or he made me promise that he'd come get him from such a party because he knew he was going to get too smashed. Didn't like that too much, kind of turned me off again there. Another one of the things that happened when my dad was drunk, probably one of the hardest times he ever hit me, is he sucker punched me really fucking hard one day when I was about 9 years old. Like I said, he didn't normally drink too much, but this was one of the days where he'd had quite a lot. I'm making my dad sound like a really bad person here, but that's not the case. Dad's normal dad. Actually, my dad's quite a good dad in a lot of respects, but this is not a happy, positive kind of commentary for the most part. So you're hearing all the bad stories about Dad. Don't worry about him. I'm sure your dads are all shitheads too sometimes. But anyway, and it was like 4th of July, and he's having a 4th of July party, and I shot all my fireworks, and the rules were that I had to clean up the fireworks. And I didn't really want to do that because I was a kid, so he had to take time off from the pool game to come outside. Look at this guy. He just jumped over my bullets and stabbed me in the back of the head. Come out there and make me pick up my fireworks. So he handed me a garbage bag, and the rules, we were going to do it this way, where I held the garbage bag and he picked up the fireworks and tossed them in there, or something like that. Or maybe it was that I had to hold the bag and put them in there. But the thing about my dad is he has very low tolerance, very low patience for some things, and one of these things is failure, especially on very little things. I could screw up and get in big trouble at school, no problems. Fail in something little, he'd go nuclear. And I'm picking up the fireworks. You're being slow, you're being lazy. I could tell he was angry and drunk and wanting to get back to his party. And I picked up a single firework and chunked it in the garbage bag, and instead of going all the way in the garbage bag, it landed on the lip of the garbage bag. He got extremely mad for some reason, and I just heard him yell something that I don't even remember, and sucker punched me right square in the back of the head. I'm 9 years old, so it sends me straight down to the ground on my knees on top of the garbage bag. And I start crying. He says, "You better stop crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about." And I knew that he was serious business, so I stopped crying. And I picked up all the rest of the fireworks like I was a professional fireworker picker-upper. Once again, bad story about my dad. Dad's not a bad guy. Really, don't worry about him. But that kind of burned me on drinking right there. One of the other reasons I don't drink is because I have anger issues, and I know it. When I was a little kid, I was extremely, extremely bad. I almost got kicked out of 1st grade. I almost had to go to remedial school. Almost got kicked out of 2nd grade. Almost had to go to remedial school. By 3rd grade, we were on happy pills at that point, so it wasn't a big problem. Had a lot of anger issues. Got in a lot of fights when I was a kid. And when I got off the happy pills, the problems more or less came back. Had a very, very bad temper. And I know a lot of you know me as the calm commentator, the reasonable guy, but the temper is there. A lot of my friends that I don't know quite that well think I'm very calm, reasonable, easy, difficult to upset, that sort of thing. Some of the guys that I've hung around with for a lot longer know that's not necessarily the truth. And even if I get extremely, extremely angry, the exterior appearance is always calm. It's sitting here, I'll be having a very calm conversation with somebody that's making me angry, and I'm, you know, perfectly happy, normal, or at least maybe not happy, but at least normal. And I'm just sitting there thinking about pulling teeth out of their mouth. That's actually, that was my dad again. He really pissed me off that day, but something like that. And I know that when you drink, that lowers your inhibitions, and it kind of makes me paranoid sitting here thinking, you know, what if I drink and I'm the mean drunk? What if I'm the asshole that when I get drunk I can't control my temper and I just want to fight everybody? What if I get drunk and beat my wife? What if I get drunk and pick a fight? What if I get drunk and start talking shit to everybody and get into a fight? Which is another thing that worries me, because I would imagine that being drunk is a lot like how you get when you're extremely sleepy and you're in this loopy sort of land where nothing makes a lot of sense. And when that happens, I turn into a major, major douchebag, just like complete cockbiting, fucktard, smartass, the last guy you want to deal with. My wife absolutely hates it when I get sleepy. Every time she says something to me, every time she's trying to be nice, I'll turn it into some really smartass insult. I can't think of one at the moment because I'm not sleepy. I just can't do it. Because look at that fucking ninja, this Tela et Cutrius guy just all over the map ninjaing me. I mean, I know this game has the Frostbite engine that they used in Mirror's Edge, but this man really thinks he's playing Mirror's Edge here, dodging all my bullets, doing parkour all over this map. So, I don't want to be the smartass drunk that just goes around talking shit to everybody like Tucker Max and end up getting smashed by 4 huge frat dudes. Probably not the best of ideas. And those are the reasons that I don't drink. I'm not trying to encourage you to not drink. This is not a non-drinking PSA. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not your mommy. I'm not your daddy. I'm not your spiritual leader or anything. You make up your own decisions. You're all big boys and girls, or adults for that matter, so you can do whatever you want there. But there are some reasons that I would like to drink. As I get older, I find myself missing out on more and more because I don't drink. And one of the real things that I really missed out on is a lot of social events that I missed out on because I don't drink. Like I said, I go to my friends' parties, I go out to the bars or whatever on occasion, but I don't drink. I don't get the same enjoyment from it. If you don't believe me, if you're a drinker, just go out one night and be the designated driver and don't drink. It's a completely different experience, and I know that I'm missing out on that. I know that that's something that I'm never going to get to experience if I don't drink. I know that I'm not going to get to also have all those tasty flavors and some of the fun, silly, drunken adventures. And I'm also worried that people don't trust me. A lot of times when I first meet somebody, if it's at an event like this, if I'm the guy that doesn't drink, and they're like, "Oh, you're the designated driver," and I'm like, "No, I'm not the designated driver tonight. I just don't drink." The first assumption is, this guy is a moral Nazi. This guy is a strict Jew. This guy is a super hardcore fundamentalist Christian. This guy has a Quran in his pocket. He is just straight as a nail, stick up his ass kind of person. Probably thinks he's better than everybody else. So there's that instant judgment right there, which is very difficult to get over sometimes, especially if it's a very drinking heavy group. Like if you meet a person and then you go meet the rest of his friends and they're all drunk, they're going to judge you really hard, which is bad. And another reason is I've been thinking, like, what if I started drinking now? Because it's tempting. It's like I'm an adult now. There's no real reason that I can't. I'm still scared of all these other factors of becoming an addict or whatever. But as I change and get older, I sit here and think it's something that I want to experience. I only get one life. I don't think I'm going to be wasted in heaven if I'm even lucky to go there, if the place even exists, or if I go to hell, there's probably not going to be booze there either, because it'd be a hell of a black market for booze in hell. But anyway, let's go with the standard, you only get one life, one experience, whatever. I'm never going to get drunk. I'm never going to experience that. I only get one chance at it, but I don't know what it's going to be like. So I sit there and think, man, I would like to drink just once, but I'm on such a good streak of not drinking and promise myself that I wouldn't and stay true to yourself, yada, yada, yada. What if you started drinking now? Everybody would judge you. Everybody would look at you like you're weird, like, this motherfucker here sat and didn't drink for like 15 years of his life, and then all of a sudden he starts drinking. This guy was a fake. He was a phony. He did that for attention. What's wrong with this dude? So I'm kind of in a weird spot there. I don't think my wife really wants me to start drinking much anyway because of the anger problems. But I'm kind of in that boat. I'm going to get smoked right here. I think somebody's going to come up and kill both me and Captain Obvious. And I don't really know where to go with the drinking. I'm almost 99% confident I'm going to stay in the no drinking boat. But as I move out into the professional life, when I finally get my master's of business and I'll start going on job interviews, when I get a job, when I hopefully eventually become a fancy rich person and we go out on these rich fancy dinner parties, I'm only going to get a choice of champagnes and wines and not water and water. Or even if I do something simple, like let's say I go to Call of Duty XP and I meet up with the rest of Team Envious or any of the people that I've met here on the internet, they're all more or less over 21, so what's going to happen is everybody's going to want to go out to the bars and drink and party, and I'm going to be that one sober guy. I'm going to be that one weird guy that nobody really understands, and I'm going to have to go through all that judgment thing again. It's going to be really awkward, and I don't know, it worries me, so I don't really know where to go with that. I'm going to swap over to talking about the gameplay now, because I'm done talking about the not drinking. This is another one of those close games. We're getting down in tickets. We've only got 8 tickets left. I'm dealing with that motherfucker that thinks he's playing Mirror's Edge parkour, running around with a shotgun, trying to get in. I think I'm the one that ends up breaking in. If I kill this guy, I sneak all the way around the right side at some point, get up in there. I can't remember if I was the guy that armed the bomb, but most of my teammates are dead back here. But they still think that we're all just respawning and reviving each other by that little alley, so I'm going to sneak in the side over here, wait just a second for, I think Captain Obvious is going to spawn on me. If he's bright, he will. Yeah. Move along the side, we're going to flank, they don't hear me, they can't hear my footsteps over all the explosions, and shoot this guy in the back. He's not allowed to live, even though I let him know where I am because I don't have a silencer on. I still think it's useful. They're going for Captain Obvious, use it as distraction. Okay, you're fine, buddy. Get one more kill, and here we go, one more assist. We've got the bomb planted. Now all we have to do is survive, and we win. We have 7 tickets. If they kill us here, we probably don't have enough tickets to finish the rest of this defense. I feel kind of like an idiot here at the beginning because I didn't know that I could actually post up on that, or that I could slap my bipod down on it, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite attachments with the M16. I can still spray and pray and suppress people and annoy them, and they throw grenades at me like mad. I think one of them is going to jump out over here on the left. I'm going to cut them down, but we have it under control now. Me and Gravity Zero and Outlaw Cash. No, never mind, that's Outlaw Dash. I said his name wrong, and Obvious. mistakes. Hopefully the actual tournament goes this well, and if you think that we're just scrubs playing here, you need to bear in mind that the other team were actually good. There were actually talented players over there that knew what they were doing, level 100s or whatever. So it was a very, very fun, entertaining game. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary and my reasons for don't drinking, and when it comes to drinking, be sure to make your own mind up and don't listen to anybody else. Drifter out.